Tell me more about how you developed your company, Downline University.
Well, the short version is over the years, going back to the early 80s, I got involved with a company that sold weight loss products. And since I was involved in my previous business, doing a lot of marketing, doing graphics, doing things like that, I was somewhat of a pioneer in that industry. And I helped a lot of businesses, and I thought, well, I can do the same thing for this, and I can build some side income. But what happened was that we were doing it so well. I mean, that back then, I think my partner and I were doing like $16,000 a month. Wow. Within about 6 months. And we kept getting kicked out of the company. You know, their compliance department kept kicking us out, saying, you know, canceling our checks. And I couldn't understand why they were doing that. And basically what it boils down to, it had to do with the advertising that we were doing. But all I was doing was taking the information that was being passed down from my upline, which at the time, she was the #1 distributor in the world for this company. And all I did was reformat it and made it look nicer. But because other people didn't have that technology, they were complaining to the company. So then I was constantly having to call her. She said, what, they kicked you out? And then she'd call the company and they'd reinstate me. So I got burned out. I got burned out with the industry, but I realized that there was still a lot of money to be made there. So what I started to do is develop tools for some of the top income earners in the world with different companies. And eventually, you know, we took the best of the best, and we, you know, with the internet, we put it together on a system where people can log in. We show them step by step with videos. We don't just talk about concepts. A lot of websites that are out there, a lot of videos, they talk about concepts on what you can do. We actually walk you step by step on how to do what we do. Whether it's offline or online, you're going to get it all there. So anyway, so what I did is I started to put together all these tools, all these things that we had developed for other people, and we brought them all together in one centralized site that's pretty much generic. It doesn't matter what type of business you're in, the tools are there. Even though I promote, you know, an energy drink company, a lot of the tools that are back there are generic, and we want them to be generic because at the end of the day, my whole goal is to help brand you. I want to brand you as the expert because the sooner that you get branded and you step away from your downline and you start doing your own thing, that's when your bank account starts to get really fat.
Yeah. Let's get back to a specific company then. I mean, one of the largest is celebrating 50 years in the business. You happened to mention that you were working with a company that was in pre-launch right now, so they're not even, you can't even order product right now.
You can't order the product, but we are enrolling distributors, and they're coming in droves.
Really?
Yes.
So that really then is the question. What is it that makes you choose a brand new company as against a company that's been in business for 50 years? What are the factors that would make
Well,
you
I look at a
choose
couple
it?
of things. I look at the management team.
Right.
Do they have a track record? And I'm not just looking for a company that, you know, the people that are involved with the company or that started the company are real estate moguls and made a lot of money in real estate or made money in stocks. I'm looking for people that made money in this industry. And then I'm looking at the people that are on the front lines, the people that are going out there and they're trailblazing, the visionaries that are leading the group, because people tend to follow. So if they don't have a vision, if they're not driven, it's not going to work. So I look at these people. I mean, are these people that started in the industry? Were they multi-million-dollar, you know, income earners or multiple six-figure earners? You know, and that's what I looked at with this company, Xowii. You know, one of our friends, master instructors and associates, Brian Mattia, he got to in the previous company, he got into the top less than 1% of income earners in the world for this company in less than 5 months.
Good.
And I did the same. So when I see people like that are involved with these type of companies, and that's one of the things that I look at. The last thing that I look at when I was approached by Brian and some of the other guys to help them launch this, you know, pre-launch this company and start to educate people on the product, I'm looking at emerging markets. Are we at the beginning of a trend or are we at the end of a trend? And right now the energy drink market is booming. It's about a $9 to $10 billion a year industry. Right. And keep in mind, the industry as a whole does about $100 billion a year. It's the big elephant that's in the room.
Right.
Xowii is coming in. Xowii is basically a hybrid energy drink, which means it's a healthy alternative. A lot of people don't like drinking, you know, some people like the kick of Red Bull, Monster, and all those, but the bottom line is that they're not very healthy. And all you have to do is look up their history. Germany pulled a version of Red Bull off the market. People have died off of it. I personally know people that have ended up in the hospital for that. And so people are looking for alternatives. And Xowii is right there at the beginning. It's not at the beginning of the trend, but it's right there. It's riding that trend, and they're gonna do phenomenally well. I mean, this many people wouldn't be jumping on board today with Xowii in its pre-launch stage if they didn't believe that these guys were going to deliver.
Wow. Let me ask you then, I want to get back to something we discussed earlier, and that is the distributor. Why? I want to get back to something that we talked about earlier. We're in a recession right now. That's no secret. There are people that have lost their jobs. They can't pay the mortgage. They can't pay medical insurance. They can't put food on the table. They might be getting unemployment, but it's going to run out. How does a person like that, who feels that they can't afford to spend $10 on a business, how do they get started in something which is ultimately, if they can do it, going to provide them some independence, give them a future? What do you say to people that say, I can't afford to get in the business right now?
Again, at the end of the day, it really boils down to, do they have the mindset? Do they have the passion? One of our friends in a previous company, he had a buddy that was basically living out of his car. He didn't have any money, but his back was so much against the wall that he had to do something. And as far as for people, I mean, you have to take care of your family first. I mean, I'm not telling people to go out there and charge up their credit cards and get involved with the company, and because you have to make sure you get on board with the right team. But by the same token, if you do have a job and you're not making your house payment, then obviously you do have the money. But you are going to have to invest a little bit into yourself. You have to invest in yourself. There's nothing out there that's free, but it's so affordable to get in these businesses. And if you just give it the time, you will make money. It's just a matter of time. If you quit, I mean, the only way to fail is if you quit, really. And most of these businesses out there, it's so affordable. The monthly fees are practically nothing to get in. Most people spend that in a couple of dinners, but they won't invest in themselves. Most people will drive 2 hours in traffic, but they won't invest in them. To go to work and to do other things, but they won't invest in something like this a couple hours a week. It's mind-boggling. At the end of the day, it still boils down to mindset. There's three things that I look for when I work with people, individually. Coming from the wellness industry, it's funny because when you're out there promoting the product or you're leading with the product, one of the first objections that you get, or one of the first questions you always get, is it FDA approved? And I'll get into that later, but
Right.
To me, I'm looking at the distributor. Are you FDA approved? Are you focused? Are you driven? And are you ambitious? Because if you meet those three, and you have to meet all those three, then I will personally work with you. Because it's a time thing. We can only work with so many people, and that's why we have the virtual systems online to train people. But you have to have a passion. You have to know why you're doing it. If you're just doing it to make a quick buck, you'll burn out.